I will start my presentation. So today I am going to talk about the standard penetration test, n-value correction, and then in specific to the Ammer energy effect. Its effect on the rebound and SBC and shear modulus. So this work was actually done by my students Ayush Kumar, Yadunandan, Srivan, and also our industrial partner Surya Narayan and Sauhar from the CPRI. So the paper what I'm going to discuss actually involves a 3 journal paper, which you can download from the link given here. You can go to this link. In the publication page, you can freely download these papers. So as well, we all know that the SPT is actually kind of the simplest and widely used test. Okay, this test was actually origined in 1902 by the Charles R. Rowe. So then it was basically kind of modified by the Moore in 1930s. Then the Terzaghi and the Casagrande, they liked this concept of penetrating the sampler and getting the soil resistance as well as the soil sample. So finally, this has been kind of named as a standard penetration test during 1948 in the conference called Recent Trend in the Subsoil Exploration. So from that time onwards, this concept has been widely adopted in the Western countries. So from there, actually, this test has been migrated to India. So before that, actually, we used to have the soil testing in the name of Bhumi Puja, which almost now I can say that vanished. Okay, we do puja for only a kind of the namesake, not really test the soil. So the code, okay, IS 2131 SPT test was actually come to India from 1963, where they have taken most of the content from the US code. So where the Ammer weight is 63.5, height of fall is 760, which is converted from the inches to the centimeter, and then the borehole diameter varies from 60 to 200. So all these parameters. So this is the way generally people do this SPT test. Okay, so there will be kind of tripod, and there is a kind of the rod where the inside there is a spoon sampler. This is the Ammer what we talked about, 63.5 kg, and raised to the height of 760 mm. So in this video, you can see the typical testing, what they are doing. So this looks like that, okay, this is a fantastic test because this is the only test which can give the soil data when compared to any other geotechnical institute test. And also this gives the in-situ properties, okay. But if you look at the N value, okay, so as I said that the Terzaghi and other people counted the N value and created so many correlations based on the study at their region, okay. And this N value itself kind of influenced by the several factors affected by the N value. That means that you cannot reproduce a same N value at the same site, giving the several conditions similar. So that is the ambiguity involved in this test. For example, the method of drilling and boring technique will affect the N value. Okay, so such as like wall support, advancing the wall, size of the wall, and equipment setup like Ammer design, rod size, spoon sampler, anvil size and design. These things will also affect the N value. Then the test procedure, seating drive, rate of application of load, all those things are kind of affect the N value, which was kind of evidenced by the several people. They told that we should have the correction for the field N value, where all these factors should be accounted. So these factors can be classified as a 2 category. One is that the equipment factor, another is the soil factor. The soil factor is like overburden correction for the fine content, okay, which is represented in the current 2131 as a dilatancy correction. So that doesn't change. It is kind of with the respective soil, that is a correction. There is no change. But the other correction, equipment correction, Ammer energy, rod length, liner correction, borehole diameter, anvil correction, and the blow count frequency correction. But unfortunately, none of these corrections are practiced in India. Okay, so even though we use several empirical correlation developed considering this correction, but we don't use in the practice. So which was kind of evident from even our code. If you look at your codal provision available for the SPT, you can see the US, how many code is available for SPT, Europe, how many code is available, China, how many code is available, And Australia, we put, so because some of the, my work also related with the Australian studies. So India, we have only two code. One is for the SPT test, another is Pipun sampler. We don't code for minimum qualification to do SPT test. We don't have visual classification code. We don't have energy measurement code. We don't have the field logging code. We don't have the normalizing n-value code. So without this kind of correction and practice, but still we use all the correlation and empirical relations used from the developed from these countries. So when I look at a equipment specification, what is actually mentioned in the several code, what is practiced in India, you can see the top one is actually what we do as per code actually. Okay, so there is a difference in the practice and code which will come later. So you can see that the difference, like the British code give this is the way, the Australian code this is the way, Japan code this is the way, American code this is the way, this is the international code. You can see there is a considerable difference, but it's very slightly. But the energy point of view, there is 6 joules are different between the other code and the Indian code. So as usual, the liner and other things and the rod type and all, which all contribute to the error in soil testing practiced in country presently. So, and also this most of this code, they frequently revise. Okay, they can revise this code every 5 years or kind of within 10 years gap, and they keep updating their recent state of art knowledge. You can see the ASTM another code, ASTM another code. But India, the 2131 not revised after 1963 even here today. Only they done a reaffirmated version of the code. Okay, so at the same time, our earthquake code has been revised frequently soon after the big earthquake in the country. But the earthquake code is very highly related to the IS 2131 because the liquefaction and amplification and the estimation of dynamic properties is controlled by the N-based correlation. So where the recent version of seismic code 1893 gives the energy correction based on the equipment type, it is suggesting a 45% of energy and 80% of the energy, which has been adopted by the several important projects. Okay, so it looks kind of, this is the overview about the SPT practice. But when we look at this, actually there are a lot of ambiguity. As I discussed that we don't really look at what type of weight of hammer we use, what is the type of rod and anvil and bore hole diameter. So in order to understand this, so we have taken up rigorous research at IISc, so where we try to understand our SPT system use, how this is reliable, how far it is kind of practiced in the reliable foundation design or anything. So with that, we kind of come across a new equipment for Hammer Energy, which is I'm going to discuss today. And also this equipment is low cost and completely fabricated and developed in our country, like made in India. So the SPT-AMA is actually the Hammer Energy Measuring Apparatus. Okay, the SPT stands for Standard Penetration Test, which has actually the sensor, which is like this load cell and force. Okay, so the force sensor and acceleration sensor, this will be connected to the data logger. The data logger will record a data. Okay, so when it record a data, you can convert acceleration into the velocity and the force. Then you can use basically this to get a energy. So this is the typical setup where the instrumented rod is there, control unit is there. These are all the field accessories. So this setup has a unique feature when compared to the commercially available equipment. So this is the energy measurement used in ASTM. This is the used in Europe. This is called SPT analyzer, where you can see the sensor are fitted outside. This is the place where sensor are fitted outside. Why? Because they want to adapt the sensor outside to reduce your cost. And those days, even there's a technology also not so much. So because of this, this could be able to measure energy above the ground. But the SPT-AMA developed at IISc could be able to measure energy at any level below the borehole. That I will show you in the graph. So as I told you that we will record a force versus time, acceleration versus time. This is the typical reading. So then both of them, like acceleration converted into velocity, then we integrate both of them and get a energy. This kind of method is called as a force VS square, FE square method to estimate the energy, which is universally adapted and followed. So our equipment is capable of sampling interval of 0.0002 seconds and get the reliable force up to 10,000 G. Sorry, acceleration up to 10,000 G and force up to 240 kilonewton. So with that, we have measured a typical reading. This is the typical reading from our setup. You can see the acceleration, force, the energy ratio, energy value, and the energy ratio. So this is basically energy ratio at a particular equipment, not a theoretical one. You can see that this particular case, the hammer used was only 59.8 kg. As I told you that we have the setup to measure even a weight of the hammer in the part of equipment. So you can take a weight here. So that is the weight is shown here. You can see that. The height of fall, using your video camera or the marked in the site, you can take. This is the theoretical energy. So this is actually kind of quite lower than the SPT theoretical energy supposed to be applied, but still the equipment has a efficiency of 60.2. So this equipment actually we also validated by comparing with the commercially available SPT analyzer at a particular location. You can see the SPT MR energy and the SPT analyzer energy. One place we have connected the SPT MR below the analyzer, other place we have connected above. You can see this is the below one, this is the above one, but the error is actually negligible. So the SPT analyzer, whatever results gives, the SPT MR also gives, but the SPT MR basically gives energy at any level above the sampler. So why it need any level at above the sampler? As we know that even though we do test at the surface, but we are measuring the properties at 5 meter, 10 meter, depends upon the requirement of foundation. So knowing the property at that level is very important than the measuring energy at the top or knowing the resistance at the surface. So that's why this is capable of, this is the recent updated version where you can see our instrumented rods are very rugged, which will be released soon to this one. This equipment also has a capacity to blow rate assessment. And it is a kind of, we are targeting half of the price of the SPT analyzer setup. So this is the typical maximum energy measured at a particular this one. You can see that each blow will get the energy. So, and then apart from that, each depth, this is actually a depth. And also you can see the top and bottom sensor. Okay, so of the different capacity, minimum, maximum, average. So all this, why this variation we need to understand. I am going to explain in the coming slides. So this is the typical reading what we got it that. So when you look at this energy, as I told you that the energy is, the correction is very important part of the SPT, which we don't practice. So how this energy changes your values. For example, this is my measured N value without knowing the energy. Okay, if I apply a 30% of energy to measure this N value, my actual N value of, for example, if I take here 50, the actual N value actually it is actually a 15, not a 30, because I apply lower than the theoretical energy supposed to be applied. Similarly, the vice versa you can see. So the whatever N value you measure, if you don't know the energy, you are basically under predicting or over predicting the soil parameters. For example, the bearing capacity equations what used in the textbooks as the N value of 55, that means the N values are measured for that particular bearing capacity equation by applying 55% of the energy. So if I know without measuring the energy, if I take a 50, okay, so then I apply a 10% or 20% energy. Actually, I am need to consider 10, but I am only taking as a 50 and design, which is kind of creating lot of ambiguity. For example, as we know that the N values are used to know the status of the soil. For example, very loose soil, 0 to 4, something like that is defined. So if I apply only 30% energy, actually I am measuring the 0 to 4 without knowing the energy, but the actual value in the field is 2. That means the low, the medium, dense soil can change its status. Okay, somebody can say dense soil because they measure a hammer energy of 50, 60, that measured energy of 50, 60 without knowing energy. But if you know the energy, if they apply lower energy, it is actually 10, 20. So such kind of things will create a lot of trouble, where because in India, we practice a termination of SPT N count or termination of borehole. So what is the termination means? Where you can stop your soil investigation. Many of the tender they give the borehole should be terminated after reaching a rebound. So what is the rebound? Rebound is the layer where it is considered to be very hard, where the penetrations are negligible or there is no penetration. So as per ASTM, they say that 100 count has to be observed. or 50 count for the any one increment, more than 50 count. As per European code also says the 50 count blow count and increase to 100 blow count in the soft. In Australia, they say 30 blow count for the 100 mm penetration. But India says 50 N value. So there is a difference between the 50 value for 15 centimeter penetration, that is a one increment, and the N value of 50. So instead of using 100, we are using the N value of 50. Let's see what happens when N value of 50 is used. For example, this is an N value. I found more than 50, stopped my borehole without knowing the energy. But if the SPT is applied 25% of the energy, actually I measured only the N value of 20, not 50. Okay. Similarly, as the energy increases, you will be measuring on only when you reaches kind of 55% or 70%, depends upon the definition what is given, you will reach the 50 value. Otherwise, you will be kind of measuring the low N value without knowing energy. You call it as a high N value, which create a termination of borehole in the advanced stage in the soil itself without reaching the rock, which will lead to the lot of ambiguity in the load distribution as well as failure of structure. There are several cases can be quoted for that. One of the classical cases actually the Perambur Bridge in the Chennai and other places too. So this is a similar explanation given. So that means the rebound criteria should be decided based on the energy level and the penetration measured above 50 or 100 in the case of the similar to ASTM, which has to be incorporated in the IS code. Okay, these details are elaborately discussed in the Indian Geotechnical Journal paper. You can see the similar way when I measure energy, the N value without knowing the energy, my SBC calculation based on the SARE criteria, you can see here actually the different energy levels are shown and the SBC levels are shown. Actually, solid line for the SBC and dotted line for the SBC for settlement, solid line for the SARE criteria. You can see that by applying lower energy or without knowing the energy, we will ending up in actually overestimating the SBC many times. Most of the time it's overestimating because India we apply the energy range from 25 to 45, 55. That's all. Very rarely people get 60, 70, very rarely, because we tested more than 30, 40 SPT equipments and more than 10,000 readings at different places in southern India, particularly covering. So the same ambiguity can also be expected when your measured value without knowing the energy, when you estimate shear modulus using any of the empirical correlation. For example, some correlations are developed for the energy ratio of 78, but if you measure for 30 applying energy and estimate shear modulus by this correlation, you lead to overestimating the value, which is very dangerous for any kind of soil structure interaction or numerical analysis. So from these three aspects, we should clearly know that without knowing the energy value, estimating of rebound, SBC, as well as any dynamic properties or static properties is not appropriate. So this I will emphasize by the typical case study in the coming slide. So in the typical site, what we have taken basically, Bangalore we have taken. As you know that during the rainy season, there were several houses are formed cracks and settlement. About 550 houses has been identified by the BBMP, like Bangalore Managara Palik, okay, where they are the authority to this one. They told that demolish all the building because it's very weak. Actually, most of the buildings are problem with soil which undergone a settlement. Why it is undergone a settlement is not very clear idea. So one of the reason I expect that the estimation of SBC and settlement practiced in India using the 1608 and 8003 code is not appropriate. So I will prove that using this explanation. So this is the typical site in Bangalore, very close to IISc, where CPRI. This is the site. We have drilled actually 6 borehole in this location. You can see the borehole. And the same location, we have carried out SPT N value measurement and the energy measurement, and also the 2-dimensional survey to get a profile detailed for 2D, and also carried out downward survey, measured shear wave velocity, crosshole survey, measured shear wave velocity by connecting this. So from this, we get a measured Poisson ratio, measured Young's modulus from the downhole and crosshole survey, and then measured shear modulus from the site. And then we have N value, which is also used to estimate this parameter. I'm going to compare how these values are comparable in this one. So this is the typical profile of the site. You can see the N value report and given. We have used here 3 equipment. Okay, 6 borehole, 3 equipment. Each equipment we have allowed to drill here 2 boreholes. You can see here this each equipment. When I calculate here, this is actually the energy transfer ratio and the particular depth and the particular borehole. So this is the energy I get. Okay, so from this I can make here average energy of the particular borehole. Okay, that is the ABE, average borehole energy. So then I will have the 2 borehole in the same equipment. I estimated average energy of the equipment. Okay, by averaging these 2. So since in the same site I used multiple equipment, I estimated the average site energy. You can see the difference. So this is the highest average borehole energy. Okay, this is the lowest one. So this every average is taking into care. So why this is happening actually? If you look at a depth-wise distribution also, you can see the huge variation in the energy. Why? Because in India, no standardized equipments are used for SPT test. That means weight is specified. But as you know that any object delivering up energy is the function of size of the object and weight of the object. The size is not specified. Similarly, the anvil, different people use different anvil. Okay, so that means which average need to be considered. In ASTM, they say that you use 3 reading or 5 reading. Why? Because throughout the US, you can find a similar kind of SPT setup. It is not happening in India because of soil testings are different level, different people are using different equipment. So then how many numbers should be used for the testing? As per our experience, I say that it is better to measure energy on each N count and make an average, because it is difficult to change a practice of SPT testing people because it needs a huge investment. This needs only measurement at each site. Okay, that is what we say. So this is the typical measurement what we observe. The same site, as I said, that we carried out seismic velocity measurement. So this is the borehole. This is the profile of the ground. You can see how the soil and rock thickness varies. As I told you that we measured shear wave velocity at 3 methods. You can see that all these 3 readings are synchronized and comparable well. And the Poisson ratio, which is estimated. So using this Poisson ratio and the downhole, crosshole, MSW, VS, we estimated Young's modulus and shear modulus, which we will discuss in the later stage again. So as I know, told you that using the SPT-N and the Indian code IS 6403, we estimated bearing capacity by considering the 2 meter depth, 3 meter depth, and 6 meter depth of foundation, and also the different size of foundation. You can see that the code-based values are giving very high, and the Bowles book, which is used to some of the reference widely people, that gives a different value, but the VS-based measurements are giving different values. So the same way, this is actually the shear criteria. This is the settlement criteria, same condition, but considering settlement. You can see that when we consider a settlement, okay, your readings basically the shear wave velocity based one, and some location Bowles or energy corrected values are giving similar readings. You can see here. Okay, and you can compare the left and right figure. You can see that the VS based measurement are giving a same SBC and settlement and shear, but N based one doesn't give. Why? Because the N based one, whatever the bearing capacity practiced right now in the code is not appropriate, because that relations are not developed for our country, particularly not applicable to Bangalore at all, because that is developed for the dense soil, okay, or dense sand by the Peck and Tersaghi in 1965. Even the data are not available. So because of this ambiguity, okay, the settlement and SBC what recommended or practiced, okay, throughout the country, I can say it is not appropriate. Okay, so this is the time where we need to update ourselves and try to this one. So if from here I clearly explained that the energy, why it is important, how the energy affect your SBC and rebound criteria and dynamic properties, and also I showed that how the SBC estimated from the SPT-N values are different when compared to the shear wave velocity. The same site, same data, but the method of approach is different. So, but the shear wave velocities are giving the similar comparable results in all the cases. Okay, but the N values are giving difference because we use a different setup procedure recommended by shear criteria and a different setup procedure recommended for settlement. Both are not synchronizing, but the soil is same. But when VS values are measured, it is synchronizing because the VS doesn't have too much of error associated with when compared to N. Okay, so with that, we need to relook at and revisit our code and need to revise. So how to overcome this problem in current scenario without going to revision of the code? The current scenario, it is better to adopt the more than one methodology for getting a important building design. So when I say important building design, basically for a ground floor or ground plus one, these things doesn't affect. Anything which is more than 10 families staying, we should be very careful because there will be more than 50 people living in that house or more than 100 people are living in the house. So those cases, we come up with the concept of integrated subsurface investigation, where we use different non-destructive method to cross-verify the data and distribution of the soil in the region and recommend bearing capacity by considering all the aspects. So such a study has been also adopted in this site, where we used the VS different method and micro tremor to estimate a bedrock thickness. This is the micro tremor survey. So which is predominantly used by the seismologists to find out H/V ratio, and then GPR to know the distribution of the soil layer in the site. So by doing this, basically, I have a limited borehole. Okay, so 1 or 2 borehole in the entire 100 or 200 meter length, and get a profile by doing this and get the velocity, all of them synchronize, and finally get the integrated profile, which gives a complete reading of the soil parameters, Young's modulus, shear modulus, Poisson ratio, which is required for most of the numerical modeling soil structure interaction. Soil structure interaction studies. Okay, right now what they do, basically they assume based on the some criteria. Many times this assumption is more or less wrong, I can say, because the Poisson ratio is actually having the unique character which is represented by the soil assemblage and mixing with the soil fines and other things. So such kind of study will be more reliable for the particularly bigger projects and important projects where many people are living there and the risk is very highly this one. So that is what we recommend from our study to overcome a current scenario. Okay. So with this, I thank all my mentors, students, and project staff. So the funding agency who has extensively contributed to all my equipment and facilities. So I also want to highlight that the slide about my CV updated. So so as on now, I published 100 journal paper, and this year I have been also ranked as a one of the top.
Anbalan sir, your audio is a problem. Hello.
Not representing the Indian scenario. Indian
Anbalan
data.
sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah. So we developed that. So if you are willing to listen this, please attend the special talk on 27th December 2021 IIT Roorkee. So I thank the organizer to giving me this theme lecture. So now I will give the session to our chair and co-chair of the session. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Anbalagan. So timely you have completed, and first of all, I congratulate you for an excellent presentation, and really appreciate. This is a very important topic related to forensic geotechnical engineering. So as you know, in India, main problem that soil related we have a standard correction. Equipment related we always assume it's one. Correct, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we assume we use a proper hammer energy, but today very rightly pointed out we don't have any guideline. What is the size of the hammer? Size and shape of the hammer, and annual size and all, because the energy transferred depending on that, but we never using. So I hope the next new IS code guideline it may come up. Sir, I think a question session given in the last, so I have some question. The main question, energy estimation. So you said average energy we have to use to work out the N value. Correct, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, N value calculation, how to account energy to correct the N value. That given, sir. I didn't see.
Yeah, I have given in the slide where I shown the different correction and the field N value.
Okay. So if at all I need to calculate, I have to follow energy. I have to use average energy and apply the correction and get the N value. Correct, sir?
Yes, yes. So basically, I have discussed this in the slide number 4. So where the corrected energy equal to the field energy multiplied by the different corrections.
Okay. Sir, you have taken hammer energy is an important one. There are n number of other corrections also related to equipment. I hope you may consider like bore size.
No, so we actually kind of suggesting the energy measurement close to the sampler so that you don't need to worry about any other correction. Because close to the sampler is realistically where the energy going to transfer to the soil.
Because transferring energy to the soil, that's more realistic. So estimating N value based on that is acceptable.
Yeah, yeah.
Rather than other aspect to consider. Very good, very good. Thank you, sir. Congrats.